That'll Be the Day began to climb the charts on its way to #1. Before they knew it, Buddy Holly and the Crickets were touring with rock and roll royalty: Fats Domino, Jerry Lee Lewis, and the Everly Brothers. Buddy was not awed by the big names. His self-confidence was always evident on stage.
He just went at it. You know, right here I am. And it was right there. He had a special gift. He walked right to the center of the stage, plant his legs. You lucky people, man. You're about to hear something. And you'd hear it too, man. He was unbelievable.
By late 1957, Buddy's success was a dam waiting to burst. That'll Be the Day sold its millionth copy in October, and a flood of hits was about to follow. But the young musicians had very little to show for it. Unbeknownst to Buddy, while he and his band were getting the glory, their manager was getting the money. In 1957, Buddy Holly was looking for a follow-up to his #1 hit, That'll Be the Day. It came unexpectedly from a song he began writing for his young niece, Cindy Lou.
Oh, Cindy Lou, oh, how my heart yearns for you, oh, Cindy. And it seemed like that's about all that he had written. I said, oh, man, I had dated a girl in high school called Peggy Sue, and she'd moved to California. I said, let's change that to Peggy Sue.
Peggy Sue the song became a hit, and Peggy Sue the girl, suitably impressed, soon married Jerry Allison. What's more, the band got to play the song on national television.
They managed to forge a sound that was just unique. But it sounded simple enough for everybody to say, I could have a go at that. You know, and you try it, you say, man, you get close and whatever, you know, but it would be something to aim for. And I think for musicians, or budding musicians of my age at that time, that it was kind of a magnet. I mean, that's why you got so many guitar players out of England, I think. So, you know, Buddy's the cause.
By early 1958, Buddy Holly and the Crickets were among the hottest acts in show business, but that very business was turning them into naive victims. Their manager, Norman Petty, was already taking a share of their songwriting royalties, but he also persuaded his young protégés to send all of the money they made on concert tours back to him in New Mexico, where he had sole control of the bank accounts.
It took me, you know, a couple of days to talk Norman and let me have enough money to go buy tires for my car.
Buddy would not realize the extent of the problem until later, for now he was more concerned with his image. He had his teeth capped, and instead of trying to avoid his glasses, he turned them into a statement. Out went the thin half frames in favor of the black horn rims that became his trademark.
He decided if I'm going to wear glasses, I'm going to wear them, and that's exactly what he did.
The glasses added to his popularity. They seemed to tell his fans, I'm one of you.
When Buddy Holly came along, you had this sort of almost opposite end of the spectrum to Elvis, you know, the smoldering. This guy with like great big glasses, like the guy you'd sort of see in the post office, you know, I mean, not take a second look at. In one way, those pair of glasses made the whole thing seem accessible to a whole generation of people, and ever since. It was that it wasn't coming on like, you know, some firm, it was just like, here it is, listen to it, I've got the goods, we got the band, and it was an incredible inspiration to everybody.
Buddy's inspiration in terms of wanting a career for myself in music was large, because if this nerdy-looking kid could make such great music, then this nerdy-looking kid could make music also.
In early 1958, the hits started coming in bunches, including Maybe Baby, Rave On, Every Day, and Oh Boy. He and the Crickets were now a worldwide smash. They visited Australia and then toured England to sell out crowds.
I mean, there is nobody in England that I know of, you know, from my generation and that whole English bit that didn't know the Buddy Holly songbook back to front.
Although he didn't know it, Buddy was inspiring a whole generation of young English musicians, including the future Rolling Stones.
Mick was a big Buddy fan too. In fact, he had more records on him than I did. He had albums, I had singles. He come from uptown, me from downtown. You know. And, it's one of the reasons we hooked up was because of records. You know, I mean, in a way, Buddy. I mean, it was initially Chuck Berry and Muddy Waters, but as we started to talk about music when we re-met, it was, you know, Buddy was a very big connection between Mick and myself as well.
Another of Britain's biggest groups of the 60s, the Hollies, took their lead from Buddy.
We decided that we would call ourselves the Hollies, in part because it was coming up to Christmas, but in most part because of Buddy Holly and our love for his music.
As his success grew, Buddy was ready to stand up to his manager. He no longer sent money back from the road. Instead, he had his own way of splitting it with the band.
He said, I'll throw it on the bed and everybody grabs what they can get, and that's their part. So, you know, probably $2,000 something, which was big bucks to us in those days. And he stood on the bed, we just don't grab it. And said, okay, that's how we split the money.
Money, it seems, was never Buddy's main concern. He often turned down lucrative concert tours to spend time with friends and family.
We had an offer for, I think, a 3-week tour, and Buddy sort of said, let's don't do that. And I said, well, you know, that's pretty good money. So you want to buy a Cadillac or something? Because I had a Chevrolet, and he said, I'll buy you a Cadillac. Talking about generous now, I mean, that's what he actually said. And I said, no, I'm not wanting a Cadillac. He said, well, man, you know, we've been working all this time, and we don't really need any money. And he said, what if you just worked all the time and you got killed and didn't enjoy any of it? How would you feel? And I said, you're exactly right.
But as much as he enjoyed his time off, Buddy had to return to the road in the summer of 1958. The tour included New York, where he made a routine stop at the office of his music publisher. And there his life changed instantly when he saw the receptionist, Maria Elena Santiago.
He asked me, what's your name? And I said, Maria Elena. He says, you know, you have an accent. And I said, well, you know what? You have an accent also. Of course, being from Texas and having that kind of twang, to me, it was completely, you know, different.
Maria says she fell for Buddy right away, and she agreed to go to dinner that night. That's when Buddy dropped a bombshell.
And when he sat down, he came out with a red rose and said to me, will you marry me? And I was speechless, of course, and then surprised. And so I just kind of answered back, do you want to get married now or after dinner? And he says, I'm not kidding. I am serious. I want to marry you. It was just like a magical moment, if I should say that, between both of us. And we felt the same thing instant.
It's so easy to fall in love. It's so easy to fall in love.
Buddy had become engaged to someone he'd known for about 6 hours.
People tell me love's for fools, so here I go, breaking all of the rules. It seems so easy. Seems so easy, seems so easy. Oh, so doggone easy. Doggone easy, doggone easy. It seems so easy.
Seems so easy, seems so easy, seems so easy.
Where you're concerned, my heart has learned. It's so easy to fall in love. It's so easy to fall in love.
I heard it through my mother, who said that Buddy's going to get married, going to bring his girl home. Well, when did this happen? You know, I didn't even know he knew a girl.
Everything Buddy did was spur of the moment. It seemed like he almost knew that he wasn't going to have a long life.
Buddy and Maria Elena were married in Lubbock in August 1958.
We married in his home, and he lost his regular glasses. That's why you see him with his dark glasses. Not that he was hiding from anybody, you know, just but we get kid around, so he didn't want anybody to know that he was getting married.
Buddy was 21 years old, happy, famous, and in love. But Buddy was not able to enjoy his success. Someone else still controlled his finances. It was a problem that would soon prove fatal.
There you go, baby. Here am I. Well, you left me here so I could sit and cry. Well, God.
Buddy and his new bride, Maria Elena, made New York City their home in the fall of 1958. Buddy wanted to be closer to the music industry, and he loved the creativity of the big city.
We live in Greenwich Village, and at that time they had the coffee houses, in which, of course, they had the poetry, and so we could just walk there, roll our pajamas up, put a raincoat on, and we both took off to the coffee houses and sit down and listen.
New York spurred Buddy's own creativity. He wrote songs, signed up for acting lessons, and made plans to record an album with Ray Charles. And he experimented with new sounds, singing with orchestral strings on It Doesn't Matter Anymore.
Somebody new, baby, we'll say we're through and you won't matter anymore.
The fact that he worked with strings is a real good indication of how innovative he was. He was continually trying to experiment.
Buddy also began his own record company, not just to make records himself, but to develop new talent. The first musician Buddy recorded was a young Texas disc jockey and singer named Waylon Jennings.
He was the first guy that ever really believed in me, you know. Don't compromise your music. That was one of the things that I learned from him, and it works right, you know. Had I compromised and started doing what they were doing, I would have never had a hit record, really and truly.
To finance his new projects, Buddy needed money, but he didn't have it. His manager, Norman Petty, refused to hand over Buddy's songwriting royalties, even when Buddy and Maria Elena confronted him face to face.
He said, no, I cannot do it now. And to be honest with you, I'm going to be honest with you. I'd rather see you dead to give you the money right now.
Buddy began legal action and persuaded his fellow Crickets to split with Petty and move to New York. But at the last minute, Norman Petty talked them out of it.